Thanks for being with us, everyone. First up, flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, is insisting his 24-hour economy policy is well thought through to turn around the country's dwindling economic fortunes. This follows concerns that the major economic policy of the party is ambiguous and does not offer real solutions in dealing with the current economic challenges. But the former president disagreed with this assertion when he interacted with the media last night.
The 24-hour economy is the means to an end, and the end is putting Ghana on a solid foundation for accelerated growth and development. We need to attain the growth rhythm that will turn our country into a developed economy and eliminate the abject levels of poverty we are witnessing today. An economy that will manufacture many of its needs, including food and beverages, drugs, clothing, and more, such that we can address the exchange rate volatilities due to needless imports. The world is moving very fast. We need to keep up with this new rhythm. So first, think of the 24-hour economy as an accelerator, the best accelerator or catalyst we could possibly have. A 24-hour economy will increase the production and distribution of goods and services and accelerate the economic exchanges between people and companies. And with that, we will start growing at an unprecedented pace while providing decent jobs for our young people. As I've said, leadership is about vision, and I stand by it. But leadership is also about caring. It's about giving people genuine, solid hope. And this is what the 24-hour economy is really about. And let me explain further. The 24-hour economy is a solid way to replace imports with homegrown production of goods, and thus create a solid base for a vibrant Ghanaian industry. In many instances, we don't import goods because they are better than what we produce. We import them because nobody produces them here in Ghana in the first place, or because our local production is insufficient. Therefore, the stimulus packages for companies wanting to participate in the 24-hour economy will convince businesses, and I'm sure of it, to start producing import substitutes. And do you know why? Because the market for such products already exists. If the market did not exist, we will not be importing to satisfy demand.
Well, join us on Zoom is Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Seram Kawo. You had the NDC flag bearer there responding to critics who say his 24-hour economy policy is ambiguous and does not offer real solutions to the current economic challenges. First of all, do you agree with the critics?
Good afternoon, Barry, and good afternoon to the listeners. Unfortunately, I will disagree with the critics. When a policy comes out in Ghana, there is a need for all of us to look at the policy in its entirety and look at the benefits that it brings to the country. The 24-hour economy, as claimed by others that it has already existed, is such that it is not driven by markets. There is the need for us to drive the 24-hour economy through the market system. We create the jobs, and then we create the demand for the goods and services that will be produced within the period. And for me, I agree with the former president in this regard, that businesses would react to the incentives that will be created by the stimulus packages that will be given to them in order to produce within the 24-hour economy. Security is very key in all these things that we do. And so going by this is always good that we try to look at how best the system will work for all of us. My fear is that they are also going to go nationwide, which will not be so good for us. It must be practiced on pilot basis and expanded to areas so that mistakes that are learned from the other sides can be amended before it is fully implemented to cover the entire country.
Well, the former president says he believes that this policy would turn around the fortunes of the economy. Is that an exaggeration? And how significantly would that policy turn around our economic situation should his party win the presidency?
That would be a big question. If the 24-hour economy will turn the fortunes around for our country, then we are looking at job creation, making sure that we produce the products that we do not produce in our country. We are adding value to our products that we have, so we are adding more value to the products, making sure that the industrial sector is more vibrant. In that way, we can produce and then we add value to the product that we export. If we are going by the usual way of doing the production and exporting the raw material, that is where we will have the problem. So the former president should tell us the measures that they are putting in place to ensure that the industrial sector is producing so that they add value to the raw materials that we have. We have more cocoa production factories. We have the shea butter factories that are here. We have factories that will produce our cooking oil. We have rice farms that are going to produce to reduce the import on that. We have mechanized agriculture that will ensure that we have vegetables 24 hours round the clock so that we can reduce the dependence on other countries that we have. So the policy document is the one that is key for us to understand exactly how they are going to implement this particular policy. We're just going by the saying that it's going to turn around the fortunes of the country is not enough. But we need a policy document on how these systems will be implemented. Not just like the one that we have seen in one district, one factory, where we don't have a policy document, where it turned out to be a party affiliated policies that we have. But this one should be broadened to cover any other person that is working within the country.
Well, we're looking forward to the policy document because there are others who have said this is nothing new. We are already operating the 24-hour economy somewhat.
Yeah, we need to get it. The other aspects where we can say that we are working 24 hours is about the security services. We're talking about our hospitals, but even the hospitals is limited to emergency units. The emergency units are the ones that operate 24-hour service. But looking at a full-fledged 24-hour service, we mean all the departments in the various hospitals are working. That goods and services are available to individuals, to patients around any time. If you wake up 4 a.m. and you want something, you can get it. If you want to go to a particular market and transact business, you can get it. So let us look at a situation like Makola Market is operating 24 hours so that you can go to Makola Market and buy your goods and services. You can go to KJTR Market to buy your goods and services. You can go to the market circle in Takrady to buy your goods and services. And you can go to the Kotokraba Market, which is operating 24 hours, and you can buy your goods over there. That is what we are looking at, not a particular segment that is operating in the country, where transport services are all over the place, and the police services are on the roof, making sure that there is safety and care that is given to transporters and then commuters in and around cities and villages.
All right, so the NDC flag bearer has also been talking about the IMF deal. He says that if his party wins the elections and he forms a government, one of the things he's going to do is to renegotiate aspects of the IMF deal. Is it necessary and is it doable?
Yeah, the aspect where I strongly disagree with the NDC flag bearer is trying to paint the picture that the deal that has been reached by IMF is not in good tandem with the aspirations of the Ghanaians, forgetting that during his time as President of the Republic of Ghana, they also went to the IMF deal, and I'm not so sure, and I cannot confirm whether NPP went to negotiate aspects of the deal. That might send a wrong signal to the international community, especially looking at the difficult financial situation and challenges that we face as a country when we are looking at this. So what I expect that the deal has come in, he has admitted the fact that he's going to continue, if he should win power, he's going to continue with that particular deal. Trying to negotiate is part of the restructuring at any point in time. The only constant we have in the world is change. And so if you think that there is going to be a change and there is going to be the need to negotiate the deal for the betterness of the country, that is good. He may also come in and say that I'm negotiating and I'm extending the period. That can also be okay for us. So for me, I am all in for the IMF deal, because that is the only time the politicians seem to do the right thing, and they are forced to make sure that they implement the strategies and policies that are in that particular agreement.
One last one. We've been reporting today that the finance minister is likely to present the budget in the last week of this month. Initially, we're looking at the date of 12th of July, which would have been this Friday. If you're in the finance minister's shoes, what would you be prioritizing in your presentation?
Yeah, that is a difficult one. Should I be in his shoes? I don't think I want to be in his shoes at this time.
I can understand why.
It's not very easy. Look at this very point that we are in, reading the mid-year budget. The mid-year budget is not to present an alternative budget or asking for an extension, knowing very well that we are with IMF. What we are looking at is the debt restructuring that has taken place, the savings that Ghana has made during that particular period, how we are going to pay the debt as they accrue in the near future. I would be explaining to the Ghanaian how the sinking fund will be revamped and how monies will be allocated to the fund. I would be accounting to the Ghanaians the new taxes that have been introduced into the country and how far they have worked, how much has been realized, how the monies have been spent over time. I would be explaining to the country those projects that have stalled because of the debt restructuring. And as it comes up, I will be explaining to them the revival of those projects and monies that we have gotten from the IMF deal that will be sent to that particular sector of the economy in terms of construction and all those things. The finance minister would have to explain to the Ghanaian population where they will get the money from to pay the customers of the defunct banks and then the savings and loans institutions that have faced the issue of the banking sector cleanup, which wasn't done earlier on. And let's give reasons as to why those things were not done at that particular time.
All right. Dr. Sarah Mkawo, Senior Finance Lecturer, University of Cape Coast, appreciate your time with us on the marketplace. Time now for your financial markets update. All right, so government recorded a marginal oversubscription of Treasury bills last Friday as interest rates eased. That's according to The auction results from the Bank of Ghana. Research analyst with Data Bank, Mark Jordan Sikanate, joins us on Zoom to throw some more light on how the auction went last Friday. Good to have you on the marketplace. So what were the results?
And thanks to your viewers as well. I mean, on the Treasury bill market last week, we continued to see government soaking up a bit as investors put through some 3.34 billion Ghana cedis. Initially, government had expected to raise some 2.76 billion to cover some estimated maturities around 2.72 billion last week. On the side of yields, we saw a 8 basis point decline. A 5 basis point decline on the 91-day yield, while the 182-day yield recorded some 8 basis point decline. The 364-day yield stayed same at the end of the auction. So basically, that's been the trend: government soaking up all bids and yields largely on a decline due to a positive inflation trend here.
All right, and so we are seeing interest rates ease. What's the trigger and how significantly are interest rates going down?
I think I made mention of that in my last submission, but just to reiterate, the downward trend in inflation has largely been on the back of the downward trend in interest rates, particularly on the Treasury bill side, has largely been driven by the downward trend that we see in inflation and the fact that, I mean, gradually investors are getting apprehended to the trend of and the momentum of inflation. Because if you want to look at it from government demand side, government's demand is still high. So basically, the trend in inflation is what really explains the momentum we see in yields at the moment. And the decline has been quite significant, an average of over 5 percentage points across all 10 years from start of year till date. So basically, that's what the picture looks like.
For how long do you anticipate this trend will be sustained?
As long as we see the kind of momentum in inflation, because like I mentioned, going forward for us, we still see government to have high demand in money market funding, given the lack of access to the international capital markets and impact of the DDP on investors. At the moment, the money market will be the option. So clearly, government's demand is high. Demand will be high on that side. As a matter of fact, we are looking at some 3.5 billion average weekly uptake going into the next half of the year. So on the part of demand is high and it's going to be like that for quite some time. So if there should be any decline, then it means investors should really have confidence in the trend of in the trend in inflation, and then going forward to, I think, a pivot in policy rate stance will be very crucial, because at the moment we currently see some high takes when it comes to BOG's OMO bills, and that could present some headwind to the kind of downward trend we see in inflation going forward. So basically, these are the dynamics.
All right, let's turn to the stock market. Tell us how what the performance was last week and what you expect this week on the stock market as well.
Okay, so basically on the stock market, it's largely been a trend of upward momentum. The rally still continues, and it was even re-echoed more strongly last week when the All-Share Index, which gives a good gauge of markets, the stock market rose about 3% to return a year-to-date gain of about 26%. Yeah. So basically on that side, it's largely been driven by the non-financial stocks with some clips of activity from the financial stocks as well. And last week we saw MTN rising to an all-time high, Total also in a tier high, and again at Atlantic Lithium, the new stock in town also given us some upward trajectory. So basically, the rally is still on. We anticipate it to continue going forward into the next half of the year with much participation from the financial stocks as they continue to do, or we continue to see less impact of the DDP on bank earnings.
Tell us finally what's happening with Ben's oil palm plantation, because market watchers expect Bob, the Ben's oil palm plantation, to lead the gainers this week.
Okay, so on the Benzo side, I think first and foremost, it's largely been, on the technicals, the fact that we see more demand for the stock on the market. But when you want to drill down into the fundamentals, you realize that Benzo oil palm plantation has been for quite some time now. It's really shown that generosity when it comes to dividend payment to investors. It delivered over one CD per share in dividend payments, this year. So, and then we saw the stock dip. So, it's been a good time for investors to, get into such a stocks. That's why we think it could give a positive run this week.
All right, Mark Jordan Sikana, Treasury Research Analyst with Data Bank. Great to speak with you for the first time on the marketplace. Hopefully we'll speak another time. I appreciate your time here on the program. Let's turn to one of our top stories this afternoon. Total contributions to the SNIT pension scheme for last year reached almost 7 billion Ghana cedis. This was captured in the State Pension Trust operations data seen by Joy Business. There's more in this report.
Billion cedis gotten ending last year represents a significant jump in terms of what the scheme had in 2022. Out of this, contributions from the private sector stood at more than 4 billion cedis, representing 113% increase over what was expected in 2023. However, in terms of public sector contributions, SNIT was able to mobilize 2.8 billion cedis, just about half of what was targeted by end of 2023. Based on this development, SNIT was able to save about 1.4 billion cedis. This is because it ended up by paying 5.4 billion in terms of total benefits paid compared to the almost 7 billion cedis that came in. Active members of SNIT pension scheme also stands at 1.9 million ending 2023. Compliance rate in terms of payment was quite high, especially with the private sector. The data showed that SNIT is making some progress in growing the scheme and retrieving arrears.
And that's the marketplace this afternoon. There is more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Common Africa currency. Dr. Bawumia proposes continental mobile money interoperability as alternative. Also, T-bills auction, government records marginal oversubscription, interest rates dip slightly. That's myjoyonline.com/business. We leave you with today's episode of the Money Lab.